One of the most powerful techniques from Wing Chun Kung Fu, and is really street applicable, is called the straight blast punching. And what that is essentially it's a chain of circular punches that is really just drives down your opponent's center line of his body, which is really, really unprotected, and it puts them on a defense position. It allows you to get in a lot of blows very, very rapidly. And it's just this chain of circular punches just going straight down this person's body. It's done different ways with the stepping. Sometimes it's just basically doing a 40-yard dash right down the person's throat, and other times it's stepping and going through at the same time. Different people teach it in different ways, but the whole point is to be able to take advantage of that center line with these punches. Well, there's some good points to that, and there's some drawbacks. Good points are, number one, most people don't know how to protect their center line. So your attacker usually is wide open down the center line. It's very, very difficult to defend against something that's coming in like a blade here. Okay, so one thing is it's very, very hard for them to defend against this. The other thing is it puts forward pressure on your attack. So it keeps you on the offense. So as you're driving forward like this, and he's basically, his brain and his body are trying to deal with this rapid kind of flailing of punches right down the face and the center line area, make sure that you own the offense. He goes on the defense. His brain is automatically put into defensive mode. The other thing is that it allows you to maintain, with a forward drive, your balance. So as I'm driving forward, rather than an angle, I can really keep my balance. It's easier for me to keep my balance here than it is to try and go off to the side or try and come in with a roundhouse punch. So there are some real advantages to this, but there's also some drawbacks. For one, there's not a lot of power in the strikes. It's really meant to be more of a chain reaction that doesn't really drive a lot of power. Now, some people can really practice this, really get a lot of power behind the strikes, and arguably you don't need a lot of power behind it because of what your desired goal is, to get them on the defensive, to follow up with other strikes, things like that. But the punches themselves are not really all that powerful. The other thing is that with the punching, especially in the circular, when you're making contact, in the circular motion, you can very easily damage your wrists. Okay, now again, with practice moving, you might be able to build up the strength, be able to perfect the punches and everything, but I'm not really into experimenting with something or practicing something for a year to really perfect it. So I'm not a big fan of these punches to hard targets like the face because of the wrist problem. There's a better alternative to this that uses the same type of reaction that you get from your attacker. And what it is basically what I call the palm heel straight blast. So I'm not a big fan of the punching, but palm heel is by far one of the very, very most effective techniques that you can use in an actual street fight. So the way it actually works is like this. Basically the same function of keeping your forward momentum, but instead, come this way a little bit more, you're going to drive down this person's throat with a series of piston palm heel strikes. So from here, again, you're focusing on the center line, but instead of punching like this, you're coming through with these pistons of palm heel. Now, it's not going to look like this when it actually happens. Most likely, 1 to 2 punches, this person's going to already fall over themselves. But the drive is to come through with these palm heels like this. He's going to naturally go on the defensive because as soon as I hit his face and drive him back, his brain's going to automatically disconnect from his offense and go into the defense. The other thing is that you have more power in your palm heel. So rather than a circular punch that's coming in this motion, from a caught position here, I can keep chain reaction pistoning these types of movements, which are much, much more powerful when they reach their intended target. The other thing is that it's safer on the wrists. You don't have that disconnect between knuckles and wrist. You're basically just driving straight into the wrist with the hard part of your palm heel. So practice this on a dummy, practice this with another person. You'll be able to quickly see between these two different techniques which one is the more powerful, which one keeps you balanced, keeps you on the offensive, drives more power, and is easier to launch.